Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Welcome back to the podcast that helps you be the leader. I'm Jeramiah Solven, and I'm your host. Guys, gals, ladies, gentlemen, this is the show that's going to help you step up and be the leader that your team needs. Okay, when I say team, I'm not talking about just your coworkers. I'm talking about your friends, your family, your entire circle. This is the show that's going to help you lead your life, take you to that victory, and help everybody around you get theirs. Inside of this show, we like to break down strategies and tactics that are going to help you get to that next level, help you transform your body, your mind, your life. We do a lot of personal development. We do a lot of leadership talk. We talk about mindset. But overall, this is about helping you and everybody around you succeed. So in order to fulfill that mission, I have somebody really exciting to come in today. And I love a great story about taking life by the horns, taking the bull by the horns, and really just bootstrapping your way to success. I think life, one of the subjects that isn't talked enough about is that life rolls people over. I mean, you can literally, if you don't self-direct your life and decide where you're going to go, you can become, reactionary to it and end up complacent, unfulfilled, with bad habits, unfit, unhappy, miserable. And it's like Henry Thoreau said. He said, "The mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation. What is resignation is confirmed desperation," which means that most people have resigned from even trying in life. And that really comes from just, either failing and giving up or simply just not choosing to live a life of greater purpose. So I decided to bring somebody in today that has an amazing, compelling story about taking life and leading their life and just, like I said, grabbing that bull by the horns and just deciding to take charge of their life and change it. So regardless of what you've gone through, whatever adversity you've been through, childhood traumas, this is going to be a great episode for you to sit back, get inspired by somebody that has overcome incredible odds, everything from household abuse to relationship challenges to issues with substances, and overcome those things so that you can live the life that you want. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm excited to bring in a friend of mine, Toktam Thomas.
Thank you for having me, Jeremiah, and thank you for the introduction. Yes, it's true. So I'm happy to talk about everything that I have been through so far and help you understand what the mindset behind overcoming is.
Yeah. Specifically, you guys need to listen if you are a stay-at-home mom that feels unfulfilled and you're searching, you are seeking, you're looking for. You describe it to me. Tell me who your message is for.
My message is for anybody who feels stuck. Generally speaking, most of us are looking for their authentic self. So my old self was the stay-at-home mom, drinking her glass of wine at night and thinking, I'm just relaxing, not knowing that I was escaping the reality because I couldn't sit in the pain and the life that I had created. Now, if you look back, my life looked pretty nice. We were living in a house, my husband was working, I was staying home with the kids, and everybody on the outside thought everything was okay, but I was literally, I felt as if I was dying a slow death.
Yeah.
I was just drowning. I call it always drowning because I was just trying to get through the day, and I realized the money was not doing it for me. It was not the looks. It was not the kids. It was not, I didn't know what it was. And I think a lot of us identify with military, identify with money, identify with something in our lives, and then we achieve it and realize this was not what we were looking for. We were looking for internal fulfillment.
Yeah.
So I went on this journey a year ago, and I got myself a coach, and he just unleashed the fire inside of me and just helped me to pull out my authentic self. That's what he was doing, because the work needs to be done by yourself. But he just put the belief in me.
Yeah. Well, you guys need to check out her social media. I mean, Toktam is an animal. She's ripped. I mean, I think you have a 16-pack or something like that.
You're the second one saying that, yes.
Yeah.
Well, I do. 1 year ago, I was skinny fat.
Yeah.
I have 2 kids, and one was actually a cesarean. So the doctors told me, and I had all kinds of autoimmune disorders after my second one. I was not supposed to work out. I was not supposed to work my abs. I was not, after my second one, which was during COVID, I was pretty chubby. I was about 40 pounds more than I'm right now, and it was all fat. It was all COVID, pregnancy, eating my feelings, basically.
Yeah.
And there are photos on social media that I shared that I'm, honestly, it's nothing that I want to share, but I want to show you guys that it doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter where you are. Just start. And I just stick to my macros. I stick to my macros, whatever I get prescribed, and I stick to the workout. I have not missed a single workout ever since I started with Wes.
Yeah, I mean, guys, if you go, the thing that you need to pay attention to is that we're talking about somebody that went from dead and unfulfilled and unhappy inside to a complete life transformation, full of energy, vibrant, shredded, and purpose-driven. And that's what today's show is going to deliver to you guys. So we're going to unpack that. Like, you've had this animal inside of you your whole life.
Yes.
You're actually an immigrant from Iran.
True. Yes.
So let's unpack. So let's let the audience get to know you a little bit. Before I go into your story, though, I want to ask a question, and that's what's something very difficult that you've overcome
During my childhood?
Anytime. Whatever comes to mind.
I had many difficulties. So from early childhood on, I just learned that the cards that were given to me were just shitty. And so I had to make a choice. I either drown or I just keep fighting. And honestly, I don't know there was always a force and a belief in, I got this inside of me.
Yeah.
So one of the biggest was definitely emancipating from my family, moving out.
How old?
I started fighting against my family with the officials, working with them around age 10.
Wow.
Because I just realized if I'm going to stay here, I'm going to be drug addicted under the bridge. I'm going to probably die. Because I am very extreme in everything I do. So self-destructive, very extreme, and now I take the same energy and I just pull it into the positive. So I just knew myself good enough to say, I can't stay here. They cannot protect me. They're not living the life that I want. So I need to get out of here. I just want a normal life. That's what I wanted at that point. I just wanted peace and normal life. So I had to fight for about 1.5, 2 years and actually they told me that they put me at some point into like a home for, I think you could stay there for like 8 weeks, and then they make a decision if you move on into a real home and live with, outside of your own home.
Some type of transitionary house?
Yes. Or if you have to go back. And they told me after 6 weeks, I have to go back. And it was not an option for me. So I tried to take my life before age 12.
Oh, wow.
So, but that emotional part of separating from your family, that was probably one of the hardest things I had to do.
That sounds like I'm at a loss for words, because at 10 to 12 years old, you have no awareness around the world. You don't know anything, and it's amazing how much strength and determination you had at that age.
Yeah.
And you were clear on what you wanted, which is that you didn't want to be there.
Yeah.
So one of the hardest things you've overcome is getting out of that household, is what it sounds like, especially at a young age. So let's talk about that, because resilience is something that everybody needs. We need we need people in the world that have more mental toughness.
Yes.
And we live in a society now where people get absolutely steamrolled by the most trivial shit, to be completely honest.
Yes.
Like, we hear people complain about not getting the perfect promotion, or not getting just this entitlement culture that we have is plaguing society.
Yes.
And they need your message about resilience and true resilience. So talk to me a little bit about how bad things were for you as a kid and what that was like at 10 to 12 years old.
So I actually would almost have to go a little bit further back, because so I was born into this family. I was the youngest of 3, and my mom and my dad were troubled themselves. So they did not know any better. That's what I told myself. It was the cards that I got. They did not know any other language. My mom was drowning in vices, drugs, and alcohol. She was into opium because she chose to numb herself. She came out of a troubled household herself, and she didn't know. She was an immigrant in Germany. She didn't speak the language. She ran out of money, and she was with the kids by herself. My dad and her divorced. He was abusive. He was like David Goggins style. I'm going to put you into a room and beat you up. So it was just too much for her. So I made peace with, they loved me, but they just didn't know how to deal with the problems and sit in the pain. Instead, they just escaped it. So my siblings were just busy with their own shit because they also were suffering and are to this day suffering, unfortunately. And I went on my own, and I realized home is not really good. There were times where we just didn't have enough food. It was just, I was hungry at school. I was waking up at age 6 by myself, going to school. I was the top of my class. I was doing everything, and I just got exhausted at some point, and my grades were going down. And I just realized my household, there's something not right with it. I didn't realize how bad it was. And so I found this group of friends who were much older than I was, and I was a young girl. And there were 2 boys who just took advantage of me at some point. So I got sexually assaulted, basically. And that was the breaking point for me, where I thought, okay, I thought I had found love and respect now in this group. Yeah. And they were not. They were using me too. So I didn't have my house that was not protecting me. I didn't have my friends. And I just shut down and said, okay, now I'm on my own. Yeah. I need to move somewhere where it's safe. I just want my peace. And that's when I started. I mean, it's all blurry from like 10 to 12 because it was so traumatic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I was around 10.
Yeah. So mom was using substances on drugs. Dad was beating you. Yeah. And then then sexual assault all before in like your preteens essentially and early childhood.
Yeah.
Fuck.
So coming back to resilience.
Yeah.
I just there are 2 ways you can go. We always have a choice, and the choice was you either fight, because I had this vision of peace in my life. I just could feel it. Or you do exactly as your parents do and go into drugs and alcohol. So I did try drugs. It was just not my thing. I didn't like it. I don't know, the coming down part, I just didn't like it. And I got into actually drinking in my mid-20s or so, like having a nice glass of wine.
Do you find that amazing that you didn't fall into drugs and alcohol with all the trauma and all the abuse that you experienced?
I don't.
Because I find that pretty fascinating, to be honest.
You would think my mission in my head, it was constantly the thought of, what did my mom do? And I'm going to do the opposite. That was driving me. So what did she do? And I'm not going to do that. And once I became a mom, it's exactly the same. I just want to be the mom that she was not. Yeah. So the drugs just I didn't like the feeling of being out of control. Yeah. Doing drugs.
Yeah, and you had a roadmap of what not to be.
Yeah.
And that deterred you. And it sounds like you impulsively tried some things periodically, but you're like, nah, this ain't for me. It's just your conscience was calling you to stay on the true path.
Yes. And the alcohol kind of snuck in there because I had a boyfriend and he introduced me to really nice wines. And then from there I went to really nice bourbons and scotch. And I liked to have just a little bit at night to take the edge off.
Right.
And since it was fancy wine and fancy bourbon, I felt not as trashy about it.
Yeah, isn't that funny how that sneaks in? Like, it's still liquor, it's still alcohol, and it's still, you're still gonna do it and then feel like shit about it afterwards, but it kind of disguises itself, like Trojan horses itself into your life.
Yes, exactly like that. And suddenly I was stuck with it, and this was my Band-Aid. I didn't even know any other way to sit in the evening but to have a glass of wine. And it was absolutely accepted because everybody was doing at least a glass of wine, if not even more.
Yeah.
So nobody was calling me out. Nobody was saying, this is fucking trashy. Like, you're drinking in front of your kids. And I did not even, I knew it was not right. It didn't feel right in my heart. But once I listened really to Wes, it just hit me like a brick wall. It's like, oh my God, do I want this for my children? Certainly not. So why the fuck am I doing this here, right here in my household, in front of them?
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's I'm picturing your entire hero's journey, you know, and it's like this young girl, immigrant, toxic household, and just trying to break away, and she's fighting she's trying to free herself from the family, but also not fall to drugs, and so she's trying to stay focused on just escaping, really, is what you were trying to do. And so what ended up happening after you fought for emancipation and try to get out on your own, and talk to me about that, like share that part of the journey.
So I ended up in, after I tried to take my life, I went into the hospital, and there was a social worker. She said, I don't know what's going on. I never told on my mom. I never said what she was doing or my dad. I just wanted to leave the household.
Why?
But
What made you not do it?
Loyalty.
Yeah.
I didn't want to punish them.
Right.
I just needed to leave. And so that breaks your heart.
It's fucked up, right? Like, you're thinking, like, you're loyal to somebody that's messing you up.
Yes.
And that conflict is hard. These are my parents. They're supposed to love me. And this
Yes.
also is happening to
Yes.
me.
Yes.
And you're trying to figure out how to handle the whole situation. And
Yes.
that can make you feel trapped as well and alone.
That was the hardest part for me, because it doesn't matter what happens. They're still your parents, and you love them. I don't love my parents less than anybody else. I just learned to separate my feelings from my actions and make a decision what is actually good for me. So it was, for me, ultimately such a great lesson.
Yeah.
All of this was such a great lesson. I am thankful for everything that happened, because I learned at a very young age, nobody's coming to save you. I learned to separate my feelings from my actions. I learned even the incident with the boys. If that wouldn't have happened, I would have probably stayed in that household.
I love this mindset of what's best for me, because we all cave into, like, you always hear people say, do it, like, listen to your body, get some rest, like that sort of
Yes.
talk of coddling and stuff like that. And really what those messages do is they make us cave into our emotions and our feelings, whereas the real question we should be asking ourselves is, what's best for me?
Yes.
And what was best for you was separating my emotions and moving forward.
It didn't matter how hard it felt. I knew that was not that was not an option to stay at home. It was just like you opened the door and the energy was dark and thick. I just couldn't enter that room. So I went into, the social worker put me into a home, which was in the woods. There were multiple homes, very peaceful by age. We were living there. I was living there with, 7, 8 other teenagers until I was about 16. And then I was ready to move out and pay my own bills, go to school, and work and hustle and work and hustle and work and hustle.
What'd you do? What type of work did you get into?
I got up early, went to school. After school, I worked at an, what do you call it, like an internship at a kindergarten. And after that, I took 2 girls, twins, from that group home and was basically their nanny until, like, the mom was self-employed until like 8, 9, 10 p.m. And went home, did my homework, next day, rinse and repeat. So I just was literally going to school, working like an internship, then nannying, and then doing homework, and rinse and repeat 6, 7 days a week.
And what were you building towards in your mind?
I thought I was going to be a psychologist.
Okay.
But then at a young age, I realized when you work with too much of this, you're going to magnify possibly things that I didn't understand at that point. I didn't want to be in the space of just mental illnesses.
Yeah.
So I started just working, being a waitress and making really good money and just trying to figure out myself. That's what I did. And then I started going to business school, got my undergrad in business economics.
Oh, yeah.
Went for an exchange semester I got sent to Missouri. It was like a lottery system. So I went to Missouri. That's where I met my husband. And then I wanted to get to know him, but I didn't want to waste time. So I started my master's degree. I got a scholarship at the university, started my master's degree in business management, finished that. And we still liked each other. So we got married and had 2 kids. And we moved to Nashville because Missouri was just not my style.
Was that like a dream come true for you at the time?
No.
Or like, because I'm picturing, if you're trying to leave a toxic household and then along the way you start working on your education, trying to find yourself in your career, and then you meet a guy. It seems like the idea of settling down and building a family would be like something beautiful in your mind.
Yes.
But tell me, like, is that what you wanted? Like, did you want like the white picket fence and the house and the stability, or
Good question.
Yeah.
Very good question, because at that point, I was lost, and I thought, having a career as a woman, putting my pants on, taking care of myself is everything I wanted. Then I met this guy who suddenly, he's very manly. He's just very, he used to work on a farm. Now he's a contractor. So he's very hands-on, very manly. And I like that because in Europe, we had so many men that were just not manly.
Yeah.
And he was just taking care of business. And I thought, you know what? White picket fence, staying home with the kids, traditional role distribution sounds really good to me. So I leaned in, I got married, we had the kids, and then I discovered that this was not what I was after. It was not anything that Ryan necessarily did wrong. It was just I put this wrong glove on and it wouldn't fit.
You weren't chasing a purpose. You were chasing an idea that was planted in your head.
Yes. I thought, I didn't have this normal life. Now let's try the normal life. And the normal life is not me. I'm just different. Yeah. And it's okay. And I didn't allow myself to be different until I met Wes. And he unleashed you need to be different. Do you want to be 99% or not? Yeah. Because 99 is average, and Bedros says average is the enemy. You don't want to be average. And I thought I wanted to blend in because all my life I was standing out negatively. And now I get a chance to stand out positively, use all the force and the energy that I always had inside of me, and just first, I had to fix myself. And now I have other women that have the same desire, the same urge, the same fire inside of them. And we just need to unlock that.
For those of you guys that are listening, she mentioned Wes a couple of times. She's talking about Wes Watson. And then she mentioned Bedros Keuilian, who's the author of Man Up. And those guys are friends from what I understand, right? And Wes has mentored me as well. He's an outstanding individual. And the reason I'm highlighting that for all you guys is that when you're going through something in life and you're going through, changing a chapter, or you're seeking for something, a lot of times what you're looking for is somebody to show you the way.
Yes, absolutely.
The teacher appears when the student is ready.
Yes.
And that's what happened with you.
Yes, that happens. And here's the funny thing. It happens with everybody. They're praying and hoping for a change. So I can tell you guys how it happened to me. Because I'm so intuitively, I just reacted immediately. I found myself, I had done in 2022 75 hard. And I did 75 hard. It was a piece of cake for me. And I thought, great, let's do 75, live hard or whatever. But in between, I found myself going back to my glass of wine after 75 days. And I thought to myself, why can I not leave this habit off the table? I do it for 3 months. I do it for 6 months. Why can it not just disappear?
I wanted to jump in because this is actually a huge problem for the simple fact that it sounds like it's just literally one glass of wine.
Yeah.
And when you have one glass of wine, you could probably tell yourself over and over again that you don't have an issue, you don't have a problem, it's just one glass of wine. So you minimize the habitual problem.
Yes. that I couldn't find the source because I wasn't the alcoholic that was getting up and drinking that glass of vodka. I was drinking my glass of wine. Maybe it was two, but I wasn't the alcoholic that you would see as an alcoholic. And I think that's a problem that we don't see, because the second you go for a Band-Aid, you are saying, whatever I'm feeling right now, I don't want to sit in it, I don't want to think about it, so let me relax for tonight. But that's exactly what you need to do. You need to feel it.
Yes.
And who said that those feelings, we always get taught that we have to constantly feel good. We don't have to feel good all the time. We need both sides of the spectrum, because the law of polarity, you can't feel entirely good if you also sit in your bad days and the universe is showing you, oh, the pain is coming from here, so let's look into that. What is happening actually here? Work through it. It takes 2 or 3 days. You might feel like shit, but you come out the other way and you have released some pressure, and you know yourself a little bit better. You know where the pain is coming from. You have maybe cried a day. That's okay. That's part of life. Don't try to escape that, because that's the key to becoming stronger.
Yes. You because when you sit in the pain, you actually start processing what's going on in your life. Yes. And when you start processing, you start looking for solutions to the problems that you find.
Yes.
And then you're like, oh, I'm actually unhappy. Like, I need to become happy. Okay, well, now how do I become happy? I need to work on myself. And let me start with this. Let me get rid of my one glass of wine. Let me get a mentor.
Yes, and I learned that I just didn't have any self-worth anymore. I had no value for myself. So creating it by putting in the work is so simple but so effective.
So you didn't have any value. You probably had some value being a mom, but you devalued you were devaluing yourself at the same time. Or talk about the details of that.
I was hating myself for not being my authentic self.
Okay.
I couldn't speak my truth. I couldn't speak up and say, you know what? This is what I like and this is what I don't like.
Okay, I got to jump in because right today, you're obviously the polar opposite of that.
Yes, the polar opposite. And my internal feeling is not even close to where I need to be.
Yeah.
From speaking my truth. I feel like I have a long way to push to actually be exactly in character at all times.
Yeah.
But at that point, I was letting everybody, when you encounter, it doesn't matter if you go shopping, if you talk to your husband, or if you talk to your in-laws. Every time when you don't say what you mean, you're hurting yourself. And just the superpower of saying, you know what? I don't like what you just said to me, and this is very disrespectful. And actually, you are just displaying XYZ. And people don't like to be around you anymore when you're like this. But that's okay. I accept it.
Well, when you're calling people on their bullshit and you're not taking it, of course they don't want to hear that, because you're the first person in their life to do it, and it just calls them on their shit.
Yes, and they're so, as you said in the beginning, they're so used to comfort that when you say, you know what, when you're drinking like this, or when you're self-medicating, or when you're on all these sleeping pills, that's an indicator that something else is going on. They don't want to be around you. So I had to learn that I have to make it more broad. I speak my truth on social media, but talking one-on-one with people is really hard for them to digest.
Yeah.
I like it. That's why I work with Wes.
Yeah.
He's very straightforward. I just shut the fuck up because I know it comes from a place of love. He tells you the truth. It's A to B, the quickest way. Shut the fuck up, apply, and you will get the result.
Yeah, that's so true. And, so I'm like pulling the lessons and I'm pulling the mindset from you as you go from this young girl trapped looking for escape to, just having this resilience inside of you and finding the next version of you later on in life. And, the first thing that you said that really stood out to me was along the lines of detaching yourself from your feeling and doing what's best for you. That's a principle, a guiding principle for life. I think that's a great North Star for a lot of people.
Yes.
And then the second part is, so now that you've kind of adopted that mindset and you've carried it over later in life, you're at a point now where you're growing so much, you're going to ruffle feathers, you're going to upset people around you, and I know you went through growing pains. When you start speaking up and pushing back on people, they get pissed off and they don't like it because they're trying to point the finger at you, but it's got all their fingers pointing back.
Yes.
So talk to me about the relationships that you lost when you stepped into your power and how you went about, overcoming that.
So very good question. The amount of, I call it level up, is directly correlated to the amount of sacrifice you're willing to give.
Yeah.
So as we are climbing, everything today, for example, I had somebody reach out to me and say, how did you level up? My wife doesn't want to level up with me, we have kids. And I said to him, I was in the exact same situation. This is your first challenge. You need to lead, you need to set an example, and you need to be so undeniable. They have no other option than following you.
Yes.
Saying, this is so awesome. I see what you're doing. I want a piece of this. This is one. The other is you might repel your partner. My partner and I are now separated. Mm-hmm. This was something which I call a sacrifice. I could stay where I was with my partner, or I could say, I cannot stop this process. Whatever it takes, I'm gonna do it, and I'm going to level up. If my partner, you have energy levels. If he's not leveling up, that's a choice that he's making.
Yeah.
I cannot force him. But that doesn't mean that I have to stop.
Well, you're actually holding them, and you see this a lot in relationships. I get that hit up with the same question too. You know, people are like, well, I'm starting on my journey, and they're all excited and motivated, but they haven't really truly gotten higher level results yet. They're just kind of experiencing the relationship strain that goes along with starting to grow. Yes. And they're like, I want my partner to come with me, and they're trying to encourage them, and that doesn't work. Like you can't lead somebody by telling them what to do. You have to literally show them. Yes. And you have to go further. And the further you go, at some point, like you said, they're either going to be in such pain that you're starting to stretch beyond them and turn it around and work towards you, or they're just going to fall by the wayside. But if you don't choose to grow, you're actually doing them a disservice and yourself a disservice because you're keeping both of you where you're at.
Yes, exactly. And I even go as far as saying, I wasn't ready 2 years ago maybe. I needed to learn the lessons up to that point where I was cracking and saying, okay, no more, and now I need to change. Yeah. So we're stealing people of their lessons to get there. It's not our job. We're not God. We're not the universe. They have to learn a few more lessons and get there on their own.
I also think people use their spouse as an excuse to not work harder as well.
Yes. And some people, it's okay. You want to stay there. It's okay. That's going to be your level then.
Yeah, just stop blaming them for it.
Yeah. Just accept it. This is it. I made a decision, and it was a post that I read of Wes that brought me to tears, being about 8 months into his program. I read this post, and I was sitting in the sauna, and literally tears were coming down my cheeks. And I wrote him a message, and he wrote me back, "It is not about you." So that I went from doing everything for myself, the fitness, the macros, for me, my family, myself, that was always in my head, to I need to step up and create a path for everybody who doesn't know how to get out of this misery. So at that point, it doesn't matter how many hours I sleep, it doesn't matter what I have to leave on the table, whatever needs to get done, I just get the job done. The only question is how? How do I get it done? Yeah. And not because I can't because XYZ. That just doesn't exist anymore.
Put your transformation in perspective so people can really see it visually. Like we had the vision of you pretty passive. I picture, and you said I think it was 40 pounds overweight. I picture kind of like a pear type body, right? And you're just like, and now you're shredded. But talk a little bit about what your daily structure looks like, how disciplined you are, and maybe your week, what it looks like.
So my daily structure, I get up every day at 2:30.
Oof.
Yes. So it started at maybe 4 or 4:30, and the longer I went, the more tasks I wanted to accomplish. Now I have 2 kids. Julian is 3, Emilia is 6. And I have to get a lot of the shit done before they wake up. Once they're up, Julian was with me until
business stuff and school stuff, whatever, life,
reading, journaling, writing, connecting with my clients. I get that done before they go to school, before they wake up. So it ended up being 2:30. It's not like I really enjoy not sleeping. I just ask myself how. So this was my how. This was the answer, 2:30. I get up at 2:30. I don't negotiate. And I have my morning video, and then I do push-ups. I have my drink, my tea, and my coffee. I do reading, and I do journaling in the morning. But I added this. I don't recommend adding too much at once. I added this as I went on. I started with macros and just workout. So, and then I go to the gym, I hit the workout, and I stay on my macros, and then I work. Now my kids go to school until 3. I have until 3, and I work until 3 on everything that I need to do. Then I go pick them up and be a mom until 5. Sometimes I have a nanny and get a little bit more time in. But the time that I now spend with my kids are just much more intense. So I don't spend 10 or 12 hours of just being around them. I'm just much more intentional with them. So I'm trying to figure out still how to be a mom, how to be an entrepreneur, how to stay in shape, how to eat correctly, how to lead the family, how to help my husband. He's growing. We're separated, co-parenting, but we are helping each other very much out. So how to support him in his growth. He's growing very much right now too. So we're both growing, having kids, and we are making it work. And we also have only 24 hours. So
this is important because we talked about when you stretch in a relationship, you start to grow and the other person either goes away or they start rising up. And you mentioned just now that he's starting to work on himself. So what did you notice caused the shift in your husband to start working on himself? What was it?
My separation from him.
Okay.
So I think he realized that this is serious. Because we have been talking, I mean, when you separate, first of all, my parents were divorced. I never wanted to separate. This was the last resort. And we were not in a happy relationship for probably 2 years prior to separating. So there were always talks of going to therapy. There were always talks of working on ourselves. And we signed up with Superhuman Fathers and Warrior Mom. I don't know if you know, they do like marriage couple.
Yeah, Kyle.
Kyle, yes. Yeah. So they have 3 levels, and I let Ryan choose the level. I'm the person, I go all in, I go elite, and I work one-on-one with somebody and get the job done.
Yeah, me too.
Ryan chose the lowest level, which broke my heart. He never showed up, and that was the point where I said, okay, this is it for me. This is the value you put and the effort into our relationship, so let's separate. I can't do this. We separated, and it took him a few months, and he just suddenly, he woke up.
Yeah.
He goes, hits the gym. He asks me for macros. He stays on his workout routine. He does his reading in the morning. He gets up earlier. Everything that I had asked him, he never did. Now it's an internal force. He's going to sign up this year with 2024 with Bedros to grow his business because he just feels more connected to him, and so on and so forth. So he has suddenly this grand vision of himself. His imaginary world opened up.
Yeah.
Before, it was just like, I'm just going to go to work, and he was making good money, but he was stuck in this routine too, guys. It's not about the money. It's not about the looks. It's not. That's a byproduct. The six-pack is a byproduct. Everybody wants to evolve on the inside. Every day we want to be better than yesterday. That's the feeling that we're going after.
Yeah. When you change you, all your results change.
Everything. It's the who, not the how.
Absolutely. So what ended up, it feels good, doesn't it, to be on that structure? And by the way, macros, guys, if you don't know them, you should all know them, but macronutrients, your fats, your protein, your carbs. It's being on a diet, a healthy diet that makes sense, and it provides you that mental clarity and that energy
Yes.
of that intense focus.
Yes, yes, because I was eating healthy before, and I know everybody thinks
Everybody
they're
says that. Everybody
we're
says that,
eating
right?
healthy, but you need, for your size and for your goals, you need a certain amount of protein, carbs, and fats. And the best part about it is you have food freedom. You can choose your own protein, your own starch. If you eat rice or sweet potatoes, I don't care about it. But you don't just make a salad with 5 pounds of meat. We don't eat just Atkins, or we don't eat keto, because everybody thinks, oh, I just need the protein. No, we do need the carbohydrates too, and we need the fats too. So you eat all the food groups for the rest of your life. This is a lifestyle, and you have food freedom. Jeremiah probably eats differently than I do, but we still both can look shredded.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So basically, your transformation, the solution to your transformation, what created it? I mean, yeah, you got the mentor, but the work that you did was establishing a structure that
Yes.
built the best you,
Yes.
and then changing
Yes.
what you put in your mouth, like your food,
Yes.
what you drink, got rid of the bad
Yes.
habits,
Yes.
and this created the persistent, resilient,
Yes.
just warrior leader
Yes.
that's inside of you.
Yes, absolutely. So rule number one for me is we do not give up. Whatever happens, however shitty you feel, you do not give up, because just by default, you don't even need to work that hard. Everybody else is going to fall off.
Yeah.
This is the biggest failure of society, the short-term sight. You just have to look at a big picture.
Yeah.
Am I going to get overall where I need to go if I go every day one step further? Some days you go 5, and some days you go 3 back. But overall, are you making progress, yes or no? And everybody thinks, I'm going to go for the fast money. But I'm going to tell you, I'm here at age 42. I have learned my lesson. What seemingly is the longer way is actually the shorter way. You become the person that is inside of your chest, that you know what you are capable of doing, and everything else will come to you. You do not go for the money, because that's a short-term solution. You find the money and you will not find the fulfillment, and you will still be drinking. You don't go for the fame. You don't go for the looks. Everything you want, you have inside of you already. That's the person that you need to carve out. And then you have a daily process. You make yourself proud, and you have the money, and you have the looks, and you have the relationships. I mean, you're just flying high.
How much richer has life gotten for you since you've transformed yourself from the inside out?
There's no price tag. I mean,
Yeah.
you can give me right now, you can push $10 million over and say, stop your process.
Yeah.
It felt like slow death,
Yeah.
like drowning. I didn't know how bad I felt until the weight was lifted. It was,
That's like being in one of those like toxic relationships where you're just like going back to that person, and you keep going back to them, and then finally you break free and you look back and you're like, holy shit, that was like so damaging. Why was I over
Yes.
there doing that? And
Yes.
but you do that with yourself, your relationship with
yes,
yourself all the time.
Yes, yes. I talk a lot on my Instagram about the perception of yourself. You know, you stay
Self-image.
in those relationships because one part of you has not developed the value. You don't see yourself as valuable that you actually go back to this person. You don't see yourself as valuable. So you have all these, you know, facets of yourself that you need to expose. And as soon as you see yourself as this valuable person, you just don't take any shit anymore. You don't take any lower than this.
Yeah.
That's just by default. I mean, nobody would hang out with a homeless person. Why would you not do that? Because you see yourself as a more valuable person.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. Now other people are looking down on you. So how can you create more value? Do more work.
Yeah. Yeah. You change your frequency by working on you. You know, it's like cell phones. You ever try to call somebody and you use the wrong number? It
Yes.
doesn't go through. But then
Yes.
you tap into the frequency you want to be on. You build yourself into the best version of you.
Yes.
And now you're tapped in
Yes.
to all those numbers, and your whole life is different.
It's entirely, I mean, I was never religious.
Yeah.
But so organized religion, I never belonged to it. I never had any feelings for it. But as I am walking on this path, I learn that it doesn't matter if it's the Bible or if it's Tesla or Einstein or Edison or whoever it is, they're all saying the same. They're all talking about, they just come from a different angle because they had a different life.
Yep.
It's a scientific life, or it's Marcus Aurelius or Epictetus. It doesn't matter. They're all saying the information is the same. By the end of the day, Tesla said, you are vibrating. The universe doesn't care about anything. Your energy is going to match whatever you're vibrating with. So you're just this ball of energy. If you feel shitty about yourself, you're low vibrating, you're going to just attract shitty, low vibrating events into your life.
Yeah.
If you learn to raise your frequency and just create a winner's mindset, everything that happens in my life, I phrase it as great. This was supposed to happen.
Yeah.
Let's make it work.
It's happening for me.
It's happening
taking me
for
to a
me.
win. Yeah.
This is awesome. Like,
Yeah.
it's raining. I'm in Miami.
Yeah.
But I still phrase it somehow. And this is awesome. This is supposed to happen for me this
Yeah.
way. There's a reason for it. You just have the belief and you just vibrate much higher, attract much more valuable people into your life.
I love it. Well, let's recap on some practical steps for somebody that wants to break free, feel happy, change their life. I mean, you laid out some pretty good ones so far, but any other tips or things that somebody can do on their own to start?
First of all, trust your fucking intuition.
Oh yeah, I like that one.
Yes. So intuition, take action. So the way you fuse your imaginary world, the person that you know exactly who is inside of you, with the 3D world, the language is called action. You need to take action. If you don't take action, you're just sitting there and hoping and wishing for dreams. They're never going to change.
Yeah.
Tomorrow is going to look like today, and 10 years down the road, Groundhog Day, you'll be in the cycle and feel even worse because you haven't moved forward. You need the evolution from the inside out. You need that feeling. So take action. Go, if you don't know, go and find yourself a coach who just gives you a path, and you shut up and follow this path. If you follow, the blueprint is never the problem. It's always your mindset. So get a coach who has the results that you want.
Love it.
And then build trust with yourself. Make promises, build trust, and keep going.
Yep.
Don't give up. Build first your body. There's no better tool than the gym, because you learn from you can just apply it. I mean, the best growth comes after, the weight. When you're lifting, it's not the first and the second rep, it's the rep 20 and so on, when it's burning and hurting. So apply that to life. Whenever it's hurting and burning, that's where you're growing. That's where you need to be. Go to the gym, eat your foods, get a coach, and laser focus, shut everything else off. Whoever is complaining, complainers are only coming from the bottom, never from the top. People who are higher than you cannot see any bad in you. They always pull you up. Whoever is complaining and in your way, they're just losers, and they need to leave your life anyway.
I love it so much. So what's next for you? We'll do a couple more questions and we're gonna close up. But what's next for you? What are you
So
excited
2024 is going to be full force, full time Toktam. And I did this the majority of the year part-time.
Coaching and mentoring women.
Coaching, mentoring women, still running my household and my kids and my family and all of that. So I'm getting more dialed in, getting the nanny, having now the kids in school. So I would say I'm at a 3.0 or 4.0 version of me.
Oh, yeah.
And I want to push until the end of the year to become the 7 or 8 at least. And I get myself coaches, and I just follow their lead. I'm just going to push to become. For me, it's really the feeling of becoming more and more.
Yeah.
And everything else always falls into place.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't make the grand plans like, I need to have $5 million by the end of the year. I know if I become the person, everything else will work out.
Yeah, you're going to run the play, run the process. You're going to
Yes.
chase the best version of you,
Yes.
and you're going to help other women do the same. And as you
Yes.
go up to level 7, 8, 9, 10, the women that
Yes.
you're coaching, mentoring now will
Yes.
come up as well.
Yes.
And that's what I love about your story is that you're pushing to the next level for them.
Yes.
You know, it
Yes.
really is. You're purpose driven.
Yes. I want everybody to understand that everybody's waiting for that one person to step up. Nobody wants to take the spot. So there's an up and a down to this. You have to pave the way. So it's going to be a challenge. But there's nobody else wanting that spot because they're just too scared. So whoever steps up, you're going to lead your family, your friends, whoever is in. If you want to lead, there is no greater chance than right now. Step up, put your pants on, and say, I'm not getting it from my husband. I'm not getting it from my friends. Nobody's coming to save me. I'm going to do it.
Yes.
Give me the work. I'm going to take
Put
care
the
of it.
pressure on my shoulders.
Yes, I got this.
Yes.
And most people, you have much more in your tank than you think.
Hell yeah. Love it. Well, Toktam, as we wrap it up here, I love today's show. I love talking about growth. I love talking about transformation. It's a personal favorite of mine. For those people that want to stay connected with you, what's the best way for them to find you and stay connected?
So Instagram is my favorite platform, and you find me under Toktam Thomas, Toktam Thomas, Thomas. And that's my home. So you write me a message, you follow me, and you ride along, or we connect and coach. Whatever you need is my mission.
If you guys check out our page and you send her a DM, let her know you came from Be the Leader. Say that in the message. That way there's instant rapport, instant connection, and the whole conversation moves faster. But reach out, build the relationship. You guys need good people in your life, and she's one of them.
Thank you.
As we close up, any final words to the audience there? Any last comments or things you want to share with them as we close up?
Yes, I really, really, really want you guys to know that I have been in your shoes. Jeremiah has been in your shoes. If you want a better life, this is it. This is your chance. This is the universe giving you the opportunity. You just have to take it. We take 10 steps, you just take one. Take it. You know that you're meant for more.
Oh, yeah. The teacher appeared because you were ready. That's what happened
Exactly.
today. Hey, thank you so much, Toktam. I learned a ton today, and I love your story. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it. So many great nuggets today. It's one that's worth re-listening to over and over again. And I loved the key lesson that I took away, which is to separate how you feel from what's best for you. That's what you need to do next and take action, like Toktam said. Until next time, be the leader.